We probably don't need mobility items the same way either, because we're not trying to sort of like navigate through people. Plus, the Spellweaver does actually have some pretty good mobility stuff built in. The piercing bow is pretty tempting. During your ranged attack, ignore all shield values for the entire attack action. I don't know if that's that good. I think I really like the idea of the goggles. The goggles, they should do something. Stamina potions nerfed compared to the board game. During your turn, recover up to one of your discarded cards. What does it do in the board game? I don't remember. Let's do the goggles. I don't remember how it compares. It's vaguely what I remember, but it's been a long time since I've played it. Oh, 2 cards. Oh, okay. All right, so we've spent our gold, we've equipped our people, which is great. Now we're going to do a city encounter. So one of the things in this game is whenever you're in the city, I didn't realize this, you can choose to do a city encounter, but they tend to be positive, more positive than negative. But the other thing is when we run to adventures, we also get another encounter. So we're going to go ahead and do our city encounter over here. While enjoying, so this is from a big deck of cards, again. While enjoying your customary post-adventure drink at the Sleeping Lion, you notice something weird going on with the lamps of the bar. At first you thought it was your imagination, but after staring at the lamps intently, you see they're flickering in and out. Tech lamps, as opposed to normal gas-burning ones, have been known to be a bit unreliable. As if on cue, the lamps suddenly go out completely, leaving the room pitch black. Option 1. Offer to fix lamps. Shouldn't be too hard with a bit of technical know-how. I bet you if we had a tinkerer, option number 1 would be extra good, because that's how the cards are built. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it's like, well, if you have a certain thing in your party or something like that, you get a different result. Option 2, take the opportunity to steal some valuables from the junk patrons of the bar. Well, we do have a rogue, so I'm going to go with option number 2. Bam. 10 collective gold. Darkness gives less scrupulous. The less scrupulous among you a good chance to perform the craft. Within a matter of minutes, your coin purse are much heavier. So I don't know if like it lists all the details here in the game as opposed to the physical version, where it would give you the breakdown of if you've got this, if your reputation is that. Boom. Okay, so then we have to decide where the gold gets divided. Tell you what, we'll divide it evenly, but we'll give the extra coin to the thief because they probably got the work done for it. So that seems like an okay idea. Okay, so we've got our one city encounter. We have to do an adventure before we can do another one. Let's go and do an adventure. We're 35 minutes in the stream. Finally time to us to go and kick some ass. Okay. Oh yes, good reminder game. Maybe it's time to look over the cards. So, the way it works in combat, you'll see once we get into it, we have these cards, and that's what we do every turn. Every turn we pick 2 cards, and we do the top part of one card and the bottom of the other. It'll make perfect sense once we get into it. We have a limit to how many cards we can go into combat with. For the Cragheart, it's 11. For the Rogue over here, it's 9. For the Spellweaver? Whatever, the Mage, it's 8, although the Mage has a way to bring it back. So the Rogue actually is going to be the one who feels maybe the tightest with the cards, but that's one of the things the Stamina Potion is going to have. Now, we can swap them out. I could drop Special Mixture and pick up Sinister Opportunity, for example. I'm just going to go with all the base cards as is for our very first combat, because you know what, maybe we don't know what kind of interactions and what kind of combos are going to develop, and we don't know what we might prefer one way or another. Probably, you know, again, if we were playing this where each player at the table was running one character, we'd have more time to read each of the cards. We'll see. The numbers are the initiative order. We'll see how that works in a second. So we're going to Black Barrow. First quest. We get a hint as to what the enemies are going to be, and we don't know what the reward is yet, but the objective is going to be a simple one. Kill everything. I like it. We're gonna get some flavor text here.
Everyone needs to eat. Whatever your reason for coming to Gloomhaven, out here on the edge of the world, that simple fact is never going to change. A mercenary can't fight on an empty stomach. So when Jexera, a Valrath woman wearing a red cloak and enough gold jewelry to keep you fed for a decade, approaches you in the Sleeping Lion and offers to pay you 10 gold coins to track down a thief and retrieve some stolen goods, well, seems like as good an excuse as any to sober up and start paying off your tab.
Do we have to sober up first?
This thief has taken some important documents, says the red-skinned merchant, her tail whipping about in agitation. I don't care what you do to him. Just bring back what is...
Sobering optional. You don't have to be drunk to go on an adventure, but it helps.
Based on Jexera's description, it was easy enough to knock around a few alley thugs and get a location of the thieves' hideout. You don't find yourself as a mercenary way out in Gloomhaven without knowing how to crack a few skulls. So your target is the Black Barrow. Sounds like a lovely place.
I don't care what you do to him. Mission requirement, kill everything. Murder hoboing around the world. So we're about to get an encounter from the deck of random encounters. It's similar to the city encounters, but whereas the city encounters tend towards good with some risk, these are maybe more 50-50. Heading out a little late, aren't you? The guard at the wall looks at you passively. You grunt in response and head through the opened gate. Nobody's gonna go looking for your corpse if you don't return, the guard shouts at your back. You end up embarking out on the road much later than you had hoped. Maybe we did have a few more drinks before leaving. Events in town saw to that, but as the dusk settles... Events in town. But as the dusk settles on the horizon, you feel confident that you're up to any threat you might face. And then begins the howling of wolves, vicious, foul beasts, and, judging from their sounds, they seem to be getting closer. Do we want to run from the howling to safety, or let the wolves come? One or two. What's interesting about these encounters, some of them go back into the deck, and some of them are removed from the game forever. Like, you could tear them in half and remove them forever. Sometimes it depends on what you pick as well. Looks like a lot of votes for 2. Let the wolves come! Objective is kill everything. Now, this isn't the adventurer, but yeah. Oh! Damn it! Confident that the wolves pose no significant threat, you stand your ground and prepare for battle. The pack comes, ragged and hungry, slowly emerging from the dark, and surrounds your party. There are more of them than you expected, but not enough to take you down. You suffer a bite or two, but are able to fight them off. Each character starts the next scenario suffering 3 damage. So our Spellweaver's already at half hit points. This is actually terrible. I don't think I've ever seen that much damage for one of these events. That's horrific.
The hell is easy enough to find.
Other option would probably cost cards, maybe.
And you see it jutting.
Sometimes what they do is they temporarily add bad or good cards to your draw deck.
Moving closer, you see the mound is formed from a black earth. Its small, overgrown entrance
Black
presents
earth.
one set of stone stairs leading down into the darkness. As you descend, you gratefully notice light emanating from below. Unfortunately,
I predict restart. Yeah, me too, actually.
Unmistakable stench of death. You contemplate what kind of thieves would make their camp in such a horrid place as you reach the bottom of the steps. Here,
Good news, we might get some of those exhaustions out of the way.
cutthroats, who don't seem to have taken very kindly to your sudden appearance. One in the back matches the description of your quarry.
All right. So the bad news is I'm kind of thinking we might lose this one pretty quickly. The good news is that losing, there's no permadeath. We still can gain some stuff out of it. We can still gain some experience and gain some gold and progress some of our lifetime achievement goals if we lose, and then we can just try the scenario again afterwards. So you can brute force it a little, Zerg rush it a little bit. And yeah, the good news is if we all become exhausted, then the Rogue and the Spellweaver will both be happy about their progression on their quest. Now, in addition to their personal lifetime goal, for each adventure, you have a specific personal achievement to get. So, for Jay the Cragheart over here, he can either go Workhorse, which is gain 13 or more experience during the scenario, or Dynamo, kill a monster during the scenario by causing it at least 4 more points of damage than necessary. So, overkill versus gain a bunch of XP. Now, these things over here are the only thing that, even if you complete them, if you lose the scenario, you don't get the benefit of this. Perk points are incredibly important, though. I don't know how likely Jay is to overkill by 4 more points of damage, so I'm going to go with Workhorse. Maybe we can squeeze out the experience. We'll see. Kesef Purist. Okay, Purist is very powerful because it is one of the very few, potentially the only one, but maybe there's one more, that gives 2 perk points if you do it. And as a benefit, there's no risk involved. There's no chance. It's as long as you don't use an item, you complete this. We do have to win. And that's comes in the problem. We might not be as likely to win if Kesef doesn't use any items. The other is Neutralizer. Cause a trap to be sprung or disarmed in your turn or on the turn of one of your summons during the scenario. So all we have to do this is cause a trap to be sprung in some fashion. We can do it by walking onto the trap. We can do it by pushing someone onto a trap, although I'm not sure if the rogue here has the ability to push people around. So that's another one that's fairly easy. All we have to do is trigger a trap. Potentially we could walk on it. We could do it as like our last action of the entire combat, perhaps. Rogue has pull abilities, so that's good. Well, it's going to take Neutralizer, because I think we are going to have to use some items. So we're going to Neutralizer, even though Purist is very good. Oh, the Rogue can disarm? Can he? I guess that makes sense. I think the Craighart... Oh, Craighart destroys obstacles. Yeah, maybe actually it's really good for the Rogue. So Dalxian here, we can go Opener, be the first to kill a monster during the scenario, or Indigent, loot no gold piles or chests. Wow, okay, you do get 2 perk points for this if you don't loot gold. The thing is, we actually are in a fairly decent situation to kill monsters, because we can probably do a high-powered snipe on something. But this is 2 perk points. Oh. Yeah, and Indigent can be automatic, as long as we don't pick anything up with this character. 2 perks is so good, I'm gonna go Indigent. Plus, it's possible that the Opener will fail, right? If we're not the first to kill something, we can fail that one. Here, we literally can't fail, as long as we don't loot any gold. All right, enter the dungeon. Oh, we're gonna get our butt kicked. 3 damage at the start of everything.
These unfortunates, your target says, backing out of the room. You can vaguely make out his silhouette as he retreats down a hallway and through a door to his left.
So again, the way this works in the physical game is you get these pieces, and the scenario tells you what pieces are going to go and do this and put down doors and things like that. This scenario here, I believe there's 3 rooms in this scenario, and we do have to kill everything in every room. The rooms that aren't open yet they're sort of asleep. The enemies in there don't do anything until we open the door. We don't even know what's there yet, in a sense. Yeah, and each battle goal was character specific, yeah. So, the Indigent, the not pick up gold piles, is only for the Spellweaver. The others can pick up all the gold piles in the universe. That's totally fine.
It's whiskey and chocolate.
Oh, hey, Lodrin.
We get people stupid enough to hand-deliver their valuables to us, grins one of the larger bandits, unsheathing a rusty blade. We'll be killing you now. Joke's on them. If you had any valuables... You probably...
Joke's on them, we're too poor to be robbed. Okay. Oh yeah, there you go. You can see the outlines of the rooms over here. So you can see there's a room here and a room over there as well. So that's... we're gonna have to clear everything. So we've got our 3 characters. Each of them have to take 2 cards. So in addition to taking 2, so if we took those 2, when our turn in battle comes, we're going to be playing the top of one and the bottom of the other. We don't have to commit to which one of those we're doing, top and bottom. Although, likely when we're picking our cards, we're going to be picking them probably with an intention that we're going to play the top of one card and the bottom of the other. In addition to that, the 2 cards you choose, the cards have numbers, and this determines your initiative in combat. You can choose either one of the 2. So if I picked Unstable Upheaval and Rock Tunnel over here, I could choose my initiative to be a 13 or a 41. The initiative goes in order, so initiative number 1 goes first, 2, 3, 4. So the lowest numbered initiative goes first. And if someone ended up with a 99 initiative for some reason, they would go last in combat. In addition to what order that your characters go in, initiative is kind of important because when the monsters decide who to attack, because there's no AI in this, right? Because it's a board game, but there's clearly defined rules of how the monsters move and attack. Monsters will try to attack the closest thing to them. If there's a tie there, they will attack the thing with the lowest initiative. So slower heroes get attacked, with a lowered priority, for example. Now, some coordination is a pretty good idea here, right? What are people going to do? Most likely, what the Craighart wants to do is move forward to get into melee, to potentially tank, and use a lot of really close-up attacks. We don't yet know at what initiative order the enemies are going to go here. These are all bandit guards. They're all going to go at the same time. In this, we've got different types of enemies in here, and they will go at different times and do different things. Here, all the bandit guards what happens is they have a deck as well, shuffle, you draw one, and that will tell you what these units will do, what these enemies will do. I don't know if there's a way to peek at what the deck is in this game. Theoretically, you could know if you've encountered these before. Here, we don't really know. These bandit guards are mostly going to run up and melee things. That's probably going to be their big thing. Sometimes they'll move more, sometimes they'll move less. We do see, well, we know what their movement and attack will be once we've locked in our moves. We know what the card is, but I don't think, we don't know what it is before we pick our moves, and I'm not sure there's a way to look at their deck in the game over here. So, Massive Boulder is a single attack, so it attacks one thing at range 3, but anyone within who's adjacent to the target, friendly or foe, takes 1 additional damage. The bottom part lets us move 4. Dirt Tornado is a ranged attack, splash damage attack, which deals damage. Now, this card is kind of funky because one of the things, some of the cards, there we go. So Massive Boulder will infuse an element, this earth element over here. So this will manifest the element in battle. It'll show up on the side over here. And other cards, so some cards generate elements and some cards consume the elements. So if the earth element was already infused, we could consume it with Dirt Tornado to add +1 damage to the attack and gain XP, which is really good. Dirt Tornado also muddles the enemies. So theoretically, we want to use Dirt Tornado after we have infused earth in the battle. You can't consume it on the same turn you produce it. I can't do Massive Boulder and then Dirt Tornado, even if they weren't both the top of a card, because you can't consume an element on the very same action or the very same turn you create it yourself. But if the Spellweaver went and infused Earth, the Crag Heart could then use it, in the same combat round. That would be okay. So we got that, some AoE options. Backup ammunition, so this is, we play it and then it sticks around. For your next 4 ranged attacks, gain an additional target. So we play backup ammunition, and the next 4 times we do a range attack, we can attack 2 targets with it, which is really quite spectacular. Avalanche is a melee attack of strength 4, could be strength 5 if we did have Earth around, and it hits 2 things. So the display over here, what this represents, is we're standing in this square over here, and we're hitting these 2 squares. Now, it's very subtle, but every now and again on the card, you'll see these little circles. You see one over here, there's a little one over here as well. Those are places where you can add stickers to enchant the cards later on to give them more ability. So we can increase the area of Avalanche later on. And that's permanent. You put a sticker on, it's on there forever. So Crater is a ranged attack. The bottom of this is what? All adjacent allies and enemies suffer 1 damage. Then we move 4 and jump, and all adjacent allies and enemies suffer 4 damage. So Crater's quite good if we were already next to people. We sort of leap over, do a bunch of splash damage and good stuff. I think we have to prioritize on doing a move. Now, some of the cards as well have this symbol. So this, if we play the bottom of this card, it is great. Move 5 with a jump, immobilizes all enemies we move through, and gives us an experience point, which is amazing. But it burns this card. It doesn't go into our discard, it goes to burn. Because things in your discard, you can refresh with your rests over here. But the burns, you generally can't get back. Although we'll see the Spellweaver has ways of doing that. You can, the top of the bottom, instead of playing the text that is actually here, at any time you play the top of a card, you can just use it to do a normal strength 2 attack, and the bottom of a card can always be used as a normal 2 move, and that doesn't burn the card, just discards it. So there's a heal. The thing is, we might have to start with some heals. Attack, immobilize. Okay, what we could do is we could start with a Rumbling Advance. Move 2, that doesn't really move us much. And all adjacent allies and enemies suffer 1. It'd be great if we knew what these guys were doing, but we don't. I don't know what to start with the Crag Heart. It might be worth playing the bottom, say, of Dirt Tornado to move 3, which we could move and we'd know we'd be in contact over there. And then maybe combat that with something that moves quite early, the top of something that moves quite early, so that we can get in here and put Crag Heart in a position where he can tank. He's got the armor and everything, which is going to be really nice. Attack targets all adjacent enemies, which is great, except we're only going to be hitting 2 things. We want to be surrounded before using Unstable Upheaval. I guess what I could do is I could do a Rumbling Advance. So I could move forward with the Dirt Tornado and then use Rumbling Advance to heal one of the characters, maybe even myself. It will also channel Earth that we can use next turn for Oh shit, not... Okay, if we use Massive Boulder, so we use the bottom Massive Boulder to move forward, then use Rumbling Advance to channel Earth, then next turn we can Dirt Tornado and channel the Earth to do big damage. Maybe we'll do that. Oh yeah, and before the first combat round, we can move our units around, so actually, yeah, we should get... Maybe like this? This doesn't really matter. Maybe like this. Okay. So the Scoundrel. We really don't want to be targeted as the Scoundrel, so this would be a good situation, I think, where we want to move slowly, because we want to move after the Cragheart, because there's not a lot we can do at range. I mean, we could start with a Smoke Bomb to turn invisible, but it is a card that gets burned. Ideally, I would like to avoid doing too much that burns things. What we could do is plan on using Special Mixture. It'll move us 3, and then poison adjacent enemies. Poison enemies take +1 damage from everything, which is really good. And then, so if we're going to use the bottom of that, we're going to want to plan on using the top of something else, which could be Venom Shiv. Because first of all, Venom Shiv, it doesn't get burned, but does give us XP and poison someone else. So we could go, and, as long as we moved next to 2 people, we could poison 2 people, which would increase the damage they would take on subsequent stuff. I think I like that a lot. A 33 moves us after the Cragheart, which is great. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. Spellweaver. Now, the Spellweaver has this Mana Bolt. And the Mana Bolt can consume any element to do bonus damage. The Cragheart is going to be generating Earth. We could go after the Cragheart and use the Earth, consume the Earth on the Mana Bolt. But the Cragheart kind of wants to consume the Earth to do other things on his turn. So maybe we don't want to do that. We could get out a Frost Armor really early just to prevent damage, which might not be a terrible idea. Although I think we're going to be safe this first round. Wow, we have a heal on Spellweaver? And it channels another element. Oh, but it does burn the card. Still, there's a good chance Cragheart's going to be attacked by something. What I'm wondering is if we take Frozen Nova, but go quite slow with it, like by pairing it with something else. Here, maybe what we do is we do Fire Orbs on a 69. Nice. Which can hit 3 things, although it's only got a range of 3. So depending on how they move, we might not be in range for the Fire Orb. Although I guess if for some reason we're not in range of 3 things with the Fire Orb, we could just use the bottom of Freezing Nova to do a movement of 2 instead. Maybe we'll plan on that. I think I kind of like this idea. Now, I don't remember when you activate your leather armor, but I guess maybe we do it on our turn. Okay, end selection. So now we're going to see the Bandit Guards. So the Bandit Guards are going to move up to 2 and do a ranged attack of 2. They may not move their 2. They will only move as much as they need to be in range for this attack over here. I think we have to manually activate. We have to tap the armor to turn it on. But then once it's on, it'll automatically cover the next 2 attacks. All right. Craggy, Heart over here. Oh, could I click on these guys to their list? No. So, it is our turn on 29. I think we're going to do our plan, which is to do a move of 4, get up in these guys' face, and then, I guess, yeah, it was going to do the heal over here. So I think I'm going to go here. I could even go here. If I'm here, 1, 2, 3... This guy might move down and shoot my Spellweaver, although we might want to spread the damage out a little bit. If I go here, maybe I'll just do this, because that should make the Cragheart closest for absolutely everything. I'm going to skip the rest of my movement. And I'm just going to heal myself, because I think we are going to get assaulted here. So we want to be at full health. And that will also infuse the Earth element. We'll see that over here. Now, I could use my Mana Stamina Potion over here to recover one of my discarded cards, but we actually don't have anything discarded yet, so I'll simply end my turn. All right. So the plan here... Now, this will mean that the Scoundrel is going to get targeted by some things, but that's going to have to be okay. And again, at least the Cragheart went first, so if there's a tie between the distance of the Cragheart and the Scoundrel will get targeted. So I'm going to use this. Annoyingly, we're only going to be adjacent to one thing, so we're not going to be able to double poison, but that's okay.